Chapter 406 is in her story. Who you stood to one side as he took in the scene before him in awe. 5 of the 10 great savage beasts, feared by all soul masters, were present. The beast god himself, who was ranked first among the 10 great savage beasts, was here, including the ice ski snow lady inside him, who was ranked third, and the ice jade empress scorpion. 7 of the 10 great savage beasts were present. It was an unprecedented gathering. The terror in his heart disappeared. He became unusually calm. While an experience like this was extremely dangerous, how could it not be exciting? 2. The myriad demon king and the scarlet king both had ugly expressions on their faces. Baiji's head was lowered, and her face was pale. Sadness filled her beautiful eyes. Take a seat, said Ditian plainly. The other 4 savage beasts looked at him. Upon hearing his words, they all sat down in front of him. Ditian turned his head to look at Huo Yuao and said, "You may sit." 2. Repeat what you told me. Release the snow empress. 2. Okay, agreed Huo Yuao, nodding. He sat down where he was, unleashed his eye of destiny, and released the snow empress. He repeated the words he had said to convince Ditian, including the conversation he had had with him. War will only lead to destruction. Only by creating something of greater value can we resolve the problem at its root. When she heard Huo Yuao's words, Baiji the Emerald Swan's gaze became more focused. The myriad demon king appeared to be in deep thought. The Scarlet King and the Bear Lord, however, only understood a bit of it. The Scarlet King would furrow his brows occasionally, while the Bear Lord would look at Huo Yuao fiercely. He seemed to be on the verge of attacking him at any moment. Huo Yuao remained fearless as he spoke. Ditian said, "You heard what he said. If what he says can be achieved, the situation of the entire continent will change." The Emperor Beast offered herself up for him, and hence, he inherited the Emperor Beast's fortune. In other words, if he dies, the fortune of Stardo will end. Upon hearing Ditian's last sentence, the Scarlet King and the Beast Lord appeared to have understood. The most obvious indicator of their comprehension was the Bear Lord looking at Huo Yuao differently. His gaze became much less severe. No matter how powerful he was, he would not risk his home. Baiji looked at Huo Yuao. At such a close distance, her emerald green eyes were moving. What happened between you and the Emperor Beast? Why would the Emperor Beast offer herself up for you? Can you tell us about how you two met? Huo Yuao paused for a while, and a look of pain flashed across his eyes. In the past few days, to keep calm, he had tried not to think so much. He did not want to remind himself of Kiwa's death. Now, when this Emerald Swan asked him, he could not help but think about it. The 5 savage beasts looked at him. Undoubtedly, the other 4 savage beasts wanted to know the response to Baiji's question. 2. The Emperor Beast, the 3-eyed golden lion, was the highest existence in the entire Great Stardo Forest. Even Ditian would not presume to be better than her. However, none of the 5 savage beasts could understand why would she willingly offer her life for a human. Huo Yuao took in a deep breath and said, "I met Kiwa in the Great Stardo Forest. At that time, I had gone to the forest to get soul rings. Elder Scarlet King, do you remember the first time we met the Emperor Beast, the 3-eyed golden lion?" A look of shock crossed the Scarlet King's face as he said, "Are you the one who wanted me to send soul beasts out in exchange for the 3-eyed golden lion? At that time, the Townie Douluo came with you, right?" Huo Yuao nodded and said, "That's right. That time, Elderson brought Donga and me into the Great Stardo Forest. Coincidentally, we met the 3-eyed golden lion there. Elderson captured her, and my forehead touched hers. A peculiar change happened between us. Our brains received each other's memories. That was when my Eye of Destiny was activated, which greatly increased my spiritual type abilities. After I left the Great Stardo Forest, the impact of this incident on me became more severe. While the memories of the 3-eyed golden lion were in my mind, her memories were way too pure. They were just memories of her cultivating in the forest, and there weren't many changes. Hence, I did not take a closer look at them. However, unlike me, she told me that contact made her see how exciting the human world was. So she chose to take a human form and enter our human world." When they heard him say this, the faces of the 5 savage beasts turned ugly, especially that of the Scarlet King. For a long period of time, he was in charge of looking after the Emperor Beast. However, none of them knew that the Emperor Beast had left. Huo Yuao continued, "When she entered the human world, she followed my memories and transformed into the most beautiful person in my mind. Then, she entered my life." He started to talk about the first time he had met Wang Kiwa, as well as the ups and downs of his relationship with Donga. This time, he recounted his tale very carefully. Unknowingly, he became completely engrossed in his own memories. Kiwa and Donga flashed past in his mind. All of his memories were crystal clear. After the battle, the 5 savage beasts were angry and tired. However, as Huo Yuao told them his story, they all calmed down. Even the ferocious Bear Lord gradually became engrossed in the story of Huo Yuao, Wang Donga, and Wang Kiwa. Huo Yuao told his story passionately. At that moment, he bared his heart. When he talked about how Wang Donga chose suicide to save him in the Yin-Yang Love Querying Valley, which caused her to fall into a coma, the Emerald Swan could not help but exclaim as if she had personally experienced it. When he told them about how he had burned his spiritual seed to save Kiwa, and how he was eventually revived by Kiwa's sacrifice, the 5 savage beasts were all dumbstruck. Of the 5 savage beasts, even the weakest one, the Scarlet King, had lived on this world for 260,000 years. Naturally, they could tell that Huo Yuao's story was completely true. His spiritual power made this tragic love story feel even more real for them. When they first heard that the 3-eyed golden lion had sacrificed herself for a human, the 5 savage beasts all thought that she had been tricked. None of them had expected such a complex process. Was there deception in this process? All there was in this story was love, something which soul beasts found hard to fathom. Tears fell from Baiji's eyes. The Scarlet King's brows were furrowed. The myriad demon king appeared lost in thought, and the Bear Lord's face brimmed with righteous anger. In the eyes of the beast god, Ditian, there was nothing but dejection. Despite their different expressions, they were all deeply engrossed in his tale. Kiwa, Kiwa. Huo Yuao pursed his lips tightly, but they could not help but twitch. No matter what, Donga was still alive, and he could still think of her. However, Kiwa was gone forever. Not even her corpse was left. A leaf, which was about as big as 2 palms, was delivered to him. On the leaf, one could see a glistening puddle of the water of life. Huo Yuao turned his head. What he saw was Baiji's tear-streaked face. "Thank you." After he received the water of life, Huo Yuao slowly drank it. A thick life energy filled his body, but it could not take away his pain. Ditian sighed softly. His eyes were sorrowful. "I never expected the Emperor Beast to die like this." Baiji lowered her head and said, "I don't know why, but I think her choice was right. Even though she only had a short period of time, she experienced the most intense emotions." The Bear Lord snorted and said, "Humans are complicated. Why don't they just snatch someone to mate with?" The myriad demon king's mouth twitched, and he said, "All you know is how to mate. Human emotions are far more complex." The Bear Lord glared at him and said, "So what if I mate? Mating is natural. If I don't mate, how can I ensure the continuity of my line in the entire Great Stardo Forest?" The myriad demon king snorted. However, he could not risk offending him, and so, he said nothing more. The Scarlet King kept quiet. Compared to the other 4 savage beasts, his position was much lower. Ditian said, "The Emperor Beast is dead. We can't save her now. However, what do you think of this matter about spirits?" The myriad demon king said, "It's believable. At least, we have the example of the snow lady. However, will they lose their consciousness after they have been transformed into spirits? Isn't this the same as dying? Boy, how confident are you that we soul beasts can maintain our consciousness even after we have been turned into spirits?" Huo Yuao said, "I am about 70% sure. The snow empress situation was unique. When her powerful energy exploded, I would have been dead if not for my otherworldly teacher, who burned his own divine sense. In a normal spirit fusion between a soul beast and a human, this problem will not occur. Hence, I'm quite confident of success." He was not boasting. The Snow Empress was not the only spirit in his body. The Skyworm Ice Dream existed, too. He was fully conscious, and right now, he was cursing the 5 savage beasts furiously from inside his spiritual sea. However, Brother Skydream dared not show himself now. If he did, Huo Yuao would be in serious trouble. Baiji said, "I feel that we can give it a shot. After this battle, many of us have been severely injured, beyond curing. All they can do is to wait for death. I've already ordered the Emerald Swans to gather them together and treat them. However, for many of them, they are inches away from death. They are the best candidate for this spirit experimentation." Ditian nodded and said, "All right, go ahead. Huo Yuao, may you succeed." Huo Yuao wiped the tears from his face and nodded. He could sense the chill in Ditian's voice, and he understood the consequences of failure. However, this was the best possible time for both humans and soul beasts. His spiritual power had increased by a lot, and he was confident. Elder Bai Ji, before the process of spirit transformation begins, may I trouble you to convince the soul beasts that will be taking part in this ceremony. They are injured because of humans, and it's likely that they are filled with hate for us humans. For spirit transformation to work, both parties need to be willing. If not, if either party is unwilling to do so, failure will ensue. You need to assure them so that there can be a possibility of success. At the same time, I have one suggestion. Other than asking the soul beasts which have been severely injured in the war, can we ask soul beasts who are nearing the end of their lives, but did not participate in the war? Soul beasts are straightforward, and I fear they may not let go of their hatred so easily. On the other hand, for soul beasts who are naturally near death, I feel that they will be calmer. This is an experiment, and hence, we need to consider various factors. Bai Ji looked at Ditian. Ditian nodded and said, yes, it's fine. Do as he says. Scarlet King, send word to Shrek to bring their participants in this experiment to the edge of the Great Stardo Forest. The Bear Lord's mouth twitched as he asked, will they dare to come? Unrivaled looked at him seriously and said, all cooperation is built on the sincerity of both sides. This beast wave brought death and destruction to both sides. If we can't let go of this hatred, there's no future for either of us. Ditian said coldly, he's right. When you head back, Rain and all your subordinates. This matter concerns the future of Stardo. If there are any slip-up, don't blame me for being unforgiving. While I'm still 10,000 years away from my 9th metamorphosis, don't think you can do what you want and get away with it. Just try me. As he said that, he looked intently at the Bear Lord. Despite the Bear Lord's strength, he did not dare to lift his head. In the Great Stardo Forest, other than Ditian, the strongest being was the leader of the Dark Golden Terraclaw Bears. Right now, Ditian was telling him not to act rashly. The Myriad Demon King looked at the Bear Lord from the corner of his eyes. He evidently did not respect him. In terms of fighting strength, he was weaker than the Bear Lord. However, he never once viewed him as a worthy foe. What use was a fellow with all brawn and no brain? Even if Ditian died in his next metamorphosis, the Great Stardo Forest would not be controlled by the Bear Lord. The Myriad Demon King, Bai Ji, and the Scarlet King had already agreed to this. Faced with Ditian's pressure, the Bear Lord could only lower his head. However, there was clear resentment in his eyes. Ditian turned to Huo Yuao and said, rest next to the water of life. The rest of you can return to your territories. Bai Ji, start the preparations. Yes, Bai Ji agreed quickly. The 4 savage beasts all left. Ditian looked at Huo Yuao, and then, as if his entire body was weightless, floated toward the center of the lake made from the water of life. What shocked Huo Yuao was that the moment his body reached the center of the lake, his body turned fainter and fainter, until it finally disappeared. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.